Okay, so part 3 of my video series, gathering ops for an attack. So first, you will have to choose a target or targets that you want to get ops on. You should have a small list because we only have so many attempts at gathering ops. Usually somewhere between 3 to 5, but depending how many people are going to help you, maybe you can get up to 10. But that's maybe for the very top people. I like to have maybe around 3 or 5 targets that I'm looking at a time, and if I'm asking for help. If you have many realmmates offering to help gather ops for you, this can increase how many targets you want to scan. It is suggested to get an eye on just a few, however. Both magic ops and espionage, also known as spy ops, require strength to use. If either of these gets below 30%, you will be unable to cast any more ops until they replenish above 30%. Each tick replenishes a bit of strength. Magic ops also require mana to cast, so be careful to not run out and make sure to keep enough to cast any other spells you may need. This has happened to me a few times where I've casted a bunch of clear sights and then I didn't have enough mana to cast my offensive spell or my Ares Call defensive spell. So just keep an eye on your mana. Make sure you don't get too low for any other spells you might need. Next, once you have picked a target you want to check out, you can begin gathering ops. For most races, you will want the 4 main ops. From the Magic tab, you will want at least one Clear Sight spell cast on the target successfully. It may take one or more several attempts. If you are failing a lot though, you may need help from a realmmate. From Espionage, you will need at least 3, 4, or 5 sets of ops, beginning with the Barrack Spy, Survey Dominion, Castle Spy, and sometimes you'll need a Land Spy. Land Spy is optional if you are targeting a land-dependent race, such as Gnome, Wood Elf, Sylvan, Iceskin, or Nox. There are more reasons to get a Land Spy, such as seeing how much land is coming in, so that's also another reason to get a Land Spy. But for attacking purposes, you might not need that. Okay, next, the Clear Sight is the most valuable spell of them all. It shows you their status screen, which shows precisely how many units and resources they have at that moment. Without this information, you cannot confidently attack with 100% certainty. Barrack Spy is the second most important of the ops to have. This is best used for attacking an attacker who currently has their army out on attack. Although it is not necessary to gather a Barrack Spy for an explorer, it can still provide information on what troops they are training and when they will come in. An important thing to note is that Barrack Spy reveals an estimation of their units with 85% accuracy. It does not substitute a Clear Sight for knowing how many troops they have. You may want to get a few of these if you are short on OP, as the numbers may fluctuate in your favor. For example, if you take a Barrack Spy and they have, say, 1,000 troops at home, 1,000 knights, then they actually might have 1150 or they might have 900. There's a 15% discrepancy between what it shows and what they actually have. So what people do, the more experienced players, is they take a few Barrack Spies and with the in-game calculator, or they write down the lowest number of each unit and then they put that in the calculator, I believe, or it does it automatically. I'm not sure. I don't do that. But that's what I've been told. Just get a few of those if you're off on your amount that you may need. That's all. All right, next, Survey Dominion is another important spy op to get. It reveals their buildings and lets you know if they have any defensive buildings you need to account for. Buildings such as guard towers are most common and can modify their defense by up to 35% at the maximum amount built of 20%. So if you take a Survey Dominion and you see that they have 20% built guard towers, you know their defense is pretty beefy because it's probably up another 35% on top of whatever other mods they have. So you can probably usually quickly discard those dominions that you see with that. But you never know until you calculate it. Next, a castle spy is also important because it shows you their castle improvements, which have walls to increase their defense. Typically, walls are between 5 to 15%, but you can go even higher. So it is important to get the latest ops when possible. This is also an area where people-controlled dominions will add last-second resources to try and up their percentages in case they feel an attack coming. Many bounces happen with last-second wall improvements added. Be careful to watch any changes while taking ops. The last op you may want is from the Magic tab, and it's a spell called Revelation. This spell reveals what spells a target dominion currently has active. Sorry. My cat started running on his little wheel. Back to... Alright. The last op you may want is from the Magic tab, and it's a spell called Revelation. This spell reveals what spells the target dominion currently has active. The main spell you are searching for is called Ares Call. Ares Call adds 10% to their defense. This is a spell that most players keep up 24/7, but sometimes it is worth checking to see if it's up. If you have a feeling that they have not logged on in quite some time, or notice they are very low on mana, it may be worth casting a Revelation. If it is up, worst case, you can now see how long their Ares Call duration will last, and try to time your attack on when the spell may fade. This is known as an Ares Call drop attack, and is one of the most popular and frustrating ways of being attacked. You can think of these mods as adding a tip to a bill at a restaurant. A 10% tips adds 10% to your total bill, and it's the same thing here. It is important to note that certain races are designed to be harder to get ops on. Races that have units that count as partial spies or wizards, such as Halfling or Dark Elf, may require the support of a realmmate. If you are ever unable to get ops on a target, it is not advised to blindly attack them. You will most likely fail, and you'll lose troops and just set yourself back. It is better to wait for ops or to find another target. Once you have gathered all the necessary ops on your target, it is time to start the calculating portion. And that will be on the next video.